Chime. All right, I don't know how to shut it off, so we'll just deal with it. So guys, welcome to the September team call for ClimbforEE. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm in Arizona. Sorry about last month. I was in Vegas and at a business meeting. I couldn't pull it off with my technology and my meeting. So appreciate you guys bearing with me and moving it to today. So we've got an awesome guest speaker today, guys. Daniel Zink is on the phone with us and on video here, if his video maintains. Daniel has become a friend of mine over the last probably 6 months, and we actually climbed Mount Humphreys together in Flagstaff, and it was very interesting. We both, I think, found out on that trip that these mountains are a little bit harder than what we thought, which was pretty interesting. But Dan just got back from Kilimanjaro, and I think it was like about a month ago. And I wanted to bring him on the call and let him sort of share his experience with you guys, and kind of hear from him. So, Dan, I'll turn it over to you. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, no problem. Is my audio coming over pretty well?
Everything's good. Yep.
Okay, great. Good evening, everyone. I just got back from Kilimanjaro now. It's been a week and a half, and just wanted to kind of go over some things that I learned. Kristen from K2 went over a lot of things during the packing party, but I think there were a lot of other things that I found helpful, and maybe you would find helpful as well. So I wanted to share those with you this evening. The first thing I wanted to emphasize is in your training, a lot of people are wondering, what should you be doing for training? And to me, I broke it out into 3 groups. The first is you want to do a little bit of cardio to get your lung capacity up. And it doesn't really matter what you do, as long as you do some high-intensity work to get your lungs where they need to be. Flexibility and core work. Flexibility I found to be really important because while you're climbing, you're in a lot of different positions that you normally wouldn't be in, and they're going to test your flexibility. And then as far as your climbing goes, I don't know what availability you all have as far as mountains or hills, but I would emphasize that you find something where you could do a little bit of climbing for a very long time. I would say, be able to go for about six hours or so of a very slow pace. A lot of people train at a high pace, but trust me, on the mountain it's very, very slow going. And, you might as well train that way because that's what you're going to be doing when you get to Africa. The trip started out with the School for the Blind, where I did some community service work. And trust me when I tell you that it will absolutely melt your heart. You're going to be really moved by your time at the school and how incredible these kids are, how hungry they are for education, and they're just wonderful kids. So in my particular climb, there were some unique circumstances. The first circumstance was I had perfect weather all the way through. And when I say perfect, I mean no rain. The mornings were extremely cold. There was ice on the tent almost every morning. So don't get me wrong, it was cold in the morning, but there was no rain, and the wind was not as high as what Rusty had on his climb on summit day. My oxygen saturation never dipped below 90%. I attribute some of that to the Diamox that I took, 125 milligrams morning and night. And also the fact that my genetics must be very good for altitude, because throughout the entire climb, including the summit, I never got sick. I never got a headache. I could have stayed at the top for a couple of hours, and I didn't see that same physiology with the people around me. A lot of people were getting very sick, having pounding headaches. So, I mean, I'm sure the Diamox helped, and I'm also sure that there's some genetic component to that as well. I found it very important to sleep, and I slept probably 8 to 9 hours a night. Went to bed about 8:30. I did take an Ambien most nights so I could get to sleep, because trust me, the camps are very loud. There's a lot of people from all over the world, and the people are partying. And what I did was I put on headphones with some white noise, like the sound of rain. Took an Ambien, and I was fine. So I thought it was important to get a lot of sleep. Drank 3 liters of water a day, 1 liter before we even started, and then 2 liters on the trail. And I found that to be enough to keep me where I needed to be from a hydration standpoint. I thought it was really important to stay clean. And one of the things that I did is there's something called Shower Pill, and it's a large format wet wipe. And every night I took a shower, if you will, with this really big formatted wet wipe, and it made me feel better. Because morale is really important on the mountain, and you want to stay clean for 2 reasons. Number one, you feel better when you're clean. And, number 2, you will cut down on the possibility of irritations, because there were some people who really weren't as diligent with staying clean, and you can run into some problems with that. So I felt it important to stay clean. I had 1 compression sack where I had all of my sleep gear. And that would be sleeping bag. I had a down pillow. I had down booties as well. And I had clothing that was just designated for sleep. So the socks, the long johns, the shirt, all of those things were just for sleep. They went into the sleep sack and only came out at night, so that, they weren't dirty. It was always getting into something clean. I used a Summit compression sack. Most things you're only going to use on Summit night, so I had a compression sack just for that, and I only got into it on Summit night.
Hey, Dan, one question I had is, Rusty sort of described how his feet were freezing all the time at night. Did you have that same sort of experience?
Rusty was talking about his sleep at night?
Yeah, sleep, and his feet were freezing every night. Like, he couldn't warm his feet up.
Yeah, well, I had socks on, and then I put them into these down booties. I got a pair from Feathered Friends, and I found that pretty good. I had a 20-degree sleeping bag, and that worked out fine as well. Now, some people get colder than others. I handle cold pretty well. So what you could do is, like I say, I could have put hand warmers into my down booties to keep them warmer. But if you're going to get cold at night, it will be your feet. So I'll just say that if you're prone to being a little cold, it wouldn't hurt to have the hand warmers for your feet as well in the evenings.
Very, very cool.
Yeah. So I found a couple of the things I found as I was climbing, that if you're looking up and you're looking at the different things that you're climbing, it's number one, you can trip very easily, and number two, it's somewhat demoralizing when you're looking at what what you have to do. So what really helped me is just concentrating and looking down at where I was placing my feet. For some reason, that helped a lot, because that's really all that matters, is where you're going to put your next step. It really is one foot in front of the other, and I used that not only on summit night, but I used that from day one. Just concentrate on where my foot was going to fall next. Looking up occasionally, but concentrating on my foot position. And like I say, that worked out pretty well. As far as your watch, bring a watch, but take the watch off as soon as you start climbing. Take the watch off, put it in your pocket, and don't take it out again until you're done with the day. Because what's going to happen is you're going to look at the watch, you're going to say, wow, that felt like it was a long time, and it's going to be like 15 minutes, and you're going to get really bummed out.
I can totally see that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, to me, it was irrelevant, because it's like we had what we had to do during the day, and the time was really irrelevant while I was climbing. So took the watch, put it in the pocket, didn't take it out until we were done for the day. They talk about layers. Definitely wear layers. You're going to find in the summit push, you're going to have a lot of things on, and believe me, once you start going, you're going to be peeling them off. By the time you get to the top, I did not have a down jacket on. I just had a shell. I didn't have, I had like light gloves on. I had a shell coat, and I was absolutely fine. So make sure you have layers so you can do that. I should have been a little more diligent with the sunscreen, especially on my face, because the wind, it's not only the sun, but the wind can do a number on your face as well. So make sure you not only bring the sunscreen, but you use it pretty diligently. Gaiters, definitely bring gaiters. It's extremely dusty. The good thing is it wasn't raining when I was there. The bad news is, I mean, you're going to notice there's dust everywhere. It's like walking through a construction site. So make sure you have gaiters. It doesn't matter if they're short or long, whichever ones you prefer. Appreciate the porters. I can't say enough. These people are the most superhuman Iron Men, stronger than anybody I've ever met. They're about 120 pounds, and they're stronger than anybody I've ever seen. So, just appreciate these porters. They do an unbelievable job, and like I say, they're just unbelievable. I kept a blog from day one of training all the way through my journey, and the website is Dan, D-A-N, my last name Zink, Z-I-N-K, and then the word climb, CLIMB.com. And that really chronicles from when my journey started all the way through the end, and there's some videos on there, and it may help give you a good idea of what at least I went through. Convertible pants, I found those very helpful. Those are the full pants with the zippers in the middle where you can convert them to shorts. I was in shorts the first day. Then after that, it was long pants just because I liked the protection from the long pant. Snacks. I brought a ton of snacks, and if I ate 3 snacks the entire trip, that would have been a lot, because they give you so much food, and I ate everything. And trust me when I say, it's breakfast, lunch, dinner. There's a tea time with popcorn. It's just, there's so much food, and it's incredible food. Trust me when I said I was scared about that. The food was unbelievable. Denver omelets, One night I had fried chicken and fries. Just really, really unbelievable. The summit push was at 4 a.m., which I think is great. At first I was a little worried because most of the camp, except for me, pushed at midnight. And I felt like, you're not going to sleep much at all that night. I didn't sleep at all. Most people don't sleep on summit night. And everybody left at midnight, and I felt kind of like, kind of left behind. But the fact that you push at 4 a.m. means you only have 2 hours in the darkness, which, trust me, is a wonderful thing to only have to do that, the darkness for 2 hours. It's grueling. My advice is, whatever inspires you, make sure you have something with you that reminds you of why you're doing this, whether it's a loved one or whether it's your faith. For me, it was a combination of the two. But the summit push, it's grueling. It's grueling, and there's a lot of scree, like Rusty mentioned, a lot of sand, a lot of scree, a lot of effort with very little movement, and just whatever it is that inspires you or whatever it is that keeps you going, just lean on that, and that I believe that will get you through. At the end, everybody talks about the summit push. The summit push took me 6 hours, which is fairly quick. But after the summit push, there's 4 hours to get back to Barafu camp, and this is going back down this really loose rock, which is really difficult. And then you get to Barafu camp, and then you have another 3 hours down to Millennium Camp. So it's 6 up, 4 down to Barafu, and then another 3 to Millennium. So it's 13 hours, and this is on basically no sleep at all. So it's a really, really demanding day. So you have to keep your head in the game. And finally, I capped off my trip. I don't know if everybody has gotten their tickets already, and if you have an agenda set in stone or not. But I did a one-day safari, which was fantastic, and I spent 2 days in Zanzibar, which is kind of like the Cancun of Africa. So that was the trip.
Pretty cool. So some things I want to let you guys know, and you tell me if I'm misstating here, but you've done anything like this before, right? This is your first time doing something like this?
Absolutely. I am a non-climber. It's probably been 30 years since before I started training, it's probably been 30 years since I hiked.
Yeah. And also, just so you guys know, he went with K2 Adventures. So he went on a solo climb, but he went with K2. So the things that he's talking about really resonate with our trip. The interesting things that you brought up, which, I think I might have brought up on a previous call, but you can't underestimate coming down, because when I came down Mount Humphreys and Flagstaff, it was so much harder. Going up was hard in a different way, very much cardiovascular, and endurance, but coming down was legs, butt, and thighs, and by that, legs, butt, and thighs like string beans.
Yeah, the thing that makes going down also after the summit, the thing that makes it hard is it's very anticlimactic. You're on this high of summiting, right? This thing that you've dreamed about for a long time, and now there's still a lot of work to be done. So that makes it hard too, is when you're going up, there's always that goal, right? You're going after that holy grail, but once you reach it, then you almost wish you could just be kind of whisked away and brought down to earth again, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, cool. Hey, I want to open up to any questions. Have any questions for Dan?
I have a question.
Sure.
Dwayne. Dan, you mentioned that your blood oxygen level never dropped below 90%. How do you know that? Did you have something to measure it?
Yeah, I brought. They will. The guides will have these for you. I brought my own pulse oximeter.
Okay.
They're like on Amazon. They're like I think $49. Like I say, your guides will have them, but I wanted to have my own, and I checked it every time we went to new elevations. I would check it.
Yeah, they'll be
good
checking
idea.
on us. They'll be checking on us very close. Every morning and every night, I think, is what they do. What other questions? Who else has a question for Dan?
Hey, Dan, this is Travis. I have a question.
Yes.
On Summit Day, what were you wearing? Were you wearing just like some long underwear and some pants, or did you have more than that? And was it enough?
Yeah, so I definitely had enough. You start out with everything, right? Because you're basically coming out of your tent. So I started out with 2 pairs of long johns, my hiking pants, and then a wet, like a rain shell over the bottom. And on the top I had a short sleeve shirt, a long sleeve shirt, a fleece, a down jacket, and a waterproof shell. And the down jacket, I can honestly say the down jacket, after about 45 minutes, that came off and never came back on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, conditions change quick up there, right? We could easily get like what Rusty had with sleeping down sideways and stuff. It's good to know. I know when I did Humphreys, the same thing. I was all loaded up to start, and I'm not kidding you. People were looking at me and they're like, "You're going to be way peeled down here soon." And like 15 minutes later, I was in a t-shirt and shorts. It was crazy. But you heat up really fast.
No, you really do, and there's a danger when you heat up, when you sweat, when it's cold. The sweat then freezes on you and makes you even colder. So, don't just keep it on thinking, well, don't be afraid to take a layer off, because it's very dangerous to start sweating when it's cold.
How often, on Summit night, how often are they stopping to take breaks?
I would say on average, probably every hour.
Okay.
On the Summit push, it's you're taking less breaks, because what happens is as soon as you stop, you are going to get colder, and when you stop, especially on the Summit push, your body tends to recoil into a relaxation mode, and sometimes it makes it harder to get back into the groove. So probably on the Summit push, we stop twice for like maybe 3 minutes each time.
Right.
Yeah.
Got to get up there. Any other questions for Dan? All right, going once, going twice. Sold to the man in blue. So, well, Dan, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it. And guys, make sure you go to his blog. I was following it the whole time of his, from his training on up. It's very good. It's a very good read, and you'll get a lot of good information out of it. So, definitely. And Dan, we're still on for lunch tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we're still on for lunch. I've got a bunch of excess, like hand warmers and the one thing I failed to mention, kind of funny, but I got something from Amazon. Here again, they're called tush wipes, and it sounds funny, but
I'm a child. Don't worry.
Yeah, so they're to use them after you use just the regular paper. It keeps you nice and clean, feeling good. There again, the better you feel in that way, the better your morale is going to be, and the less problems you're going to have. So, I've got like 3 extra boxes of those, so I can bring those to you as well.
Awesome. Cool. Well, we appreciate you jumping on with us. That was very informative. That's awesome. I just always love hearing, perspectives, right? So we've had several perspectives now, from a guy who had no arms and legs to a guy who's never done something like this before. So it's always good to get those perspectives. So Dan, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thank you. I wish the best of luck to everybody on the call. Just remember, as far as your training, you've got a ways to go. Just, with your training, just be diligent about it and just keep it going. You've got enough time to make sure that you'll be in tip-top shape. So best of luck. And Ira, if you or anybody else on the team want to correspond, between now and then, feel free.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
All right, cool. All right, guys, so that was awesome. Good. So let's talk a little bit. Any questions, anything else you want to bring up about Dan's stuff? I know he's not on. He's probably not on anymore, but anything else? All right, cool. So let's talk about some other things that are going on in the world for ClimbforEE. So the first thing I want to say is somebody had made mention that our website's kind of screwed up, and the Climber page, for some reason, is not formatted correctly anymore. I've got a technical guy looking at it, trying to figure out what happened there. So I'm hoping to get that fixed here in the next week or so. So hopefully we can get that fixed. So that's on the agenda. As far as fundraising, so here we are, guys. It's almost October. So October, November, December, January, February, March, April. I think we cut it off April 1st. So got about 6 months left of fundraising. This is the time to kick it into high gear, especially towards the end of the year, right? Because now people are starting to think about taxes, write-offs, all those things that we should be talking about. As a matter of fact, it blew me away. Yesterday, here in Phoenix, I heard a sports radio station. And for 24 hours, they were doing not only their sports radio, but they were doing an online fundraising effort for Phoenix Children's Hospital. And, they were, getting people to donate $100 at a time, whatever they can do, sponsor a kid, all this cool stuff. They raised $1 million in 24 hours. And that was on the radio. So, I've never heard that done before. It was very interesting to me. I've seen it on TV, but I've never heard it on radio. So, if you have radio stations near you that might be interested in doing something like that, could be a great idea. I'm working on a couple things here. A comedy show here in Phoenix that we're gonna raise some money for. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but this is crunch time. Like if I would tell you anything, like the next 90 days, you should be all over this, because it's the best time of year, because people are feeling like giving. They can get the tax write-offs on their their taxes, and this is it, man. This is where the pedal hits the metal. And there have been questions, and I was sort of surprised to hear some of these questions, but we've been saying all along, you got to raise the money. I mean, that's how this whole thing works. And if we don't raise the money, like I'm at $7,000 right now. If I don't raise my money, I'm not going. So we gotta pull out all the stops. Some great stuff. I mean, we got Muhammad. He's already reset his bar to 20,000 from 15,000 because he already hit 15, which is cool. We got Team Cincinnati, Terry and Kelly. They came out of nowhere, and now they're beating me. I was in second place for the longest time, so now they drew a line in the sand, so I got to get moving again. We've got some other good stuff going on. Macy, she actually had $2,500. She's kidding to do it, and it was amazing. The way that it was pretty cool. She had a friend who was a photographer. The photographer did a fundraiser for her, and what happened is people would come pay, I don't know, $60 or something like that, or I forget what. I'll get you the details, but people would come pay $60 for a photography session with this woman for their kids. She would do the print for them, sort of like Dwayne, what you're talking about doing, with the photography, and
right.
She would give them a print, and all the money went to Macy. She raised $1,000 in that one fundraiser in one day. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. So just be innovative about it. But I would urge you that time's of the essence. That the clock is against us at this point. Now, saying that, the last couple weeks has been a little difficult for me to sort of keep track of things, because what I'm finding is we're raising money in multiple ways, but some of it I'm not hearing. Actually, a lot of it's not even coming through CrowdRise, which is totally cool. That's good. But I've got to be notified every single time any money is sent to Cured. And when you send money to them, you got to make sure on the check they write supporting, ClimbforEE and then your name, because I just need to make sure. It's like checks and balances in a checkbook, right? You write checks, you got to make sure you're tracking the money. So I've got to make sure I can track every single dollar and make sure you're getting credit for every single dollar. Like we have a team in back east in New Jersey. They came up with a great idea. They're using a different site other than CrowdRise. I had no clue. And they've got like probably $2,000 raised already, which is great. But if that money were to go to Cured and Cured didn't give us credit for it, then we'd have a big issue. So I guess what I'm saying is just please keep me in the loop every single time anything's sent to them that isn't done through CrowdRise. And the other important thing is if you're doing that, let's say, and sending checks is way better, because then CrowdRise takes a percentage out of what we do, so it makes it harder to hit our goal with CrowdRise. That's how they make their money. So anytime you send a check to them, just send an email to me saying, here's the check I sent, here's how much it was for, and here's who wrote the check, or here's where we secured the funds. Because I need to then take that information, put it into CrowdRise as it's called an offline donation. So you get credit, at least your ticker keeps going up on CrowdRise, so we really know where everybody's at. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And it just, I'm just begging you guys, please keep me in the loop on that stuff, because I want to make sure that that we're getting credit for everything that we're doing. So right now, CrowdRise is 48 grand, but I'm pretty sure we're above 50 right now. We got a long way to go to make sure everyone is able to go on this thing. And at the end of the day, the people that raise the money will get to go. And the people who don't, unfortunately, that's the thing. I mean, that's how we built this whole thing to work. So any questions on fundraising or any things that have been working for you? I know, Melinda, you did a rock and roll thing, which sounded really cool. And Dwayne, I know you're doing a Kickstarter project. Let's just kind of open it up to what you guys are doing and what's worked, what hasn't worked, and what are you planning on doing. I'll just leave it open.
Well, I'll comment about my Kickstarter project. I'm over halfway through the time limit that they allow for raising pledges, and it's not looking very positive at the moment. I've still got a couple ideas, but I'm beginning to plan what I'll do when my Kickstarter project doesn't get funded, and I'm thinking I can get the people that have paid pledges to actually donate the money on some other site, maybe CrowdRise or something else like Fundly or something like that, but still based on the idea that I'm going to write a book and publish it, and that they'll get some rewards for participating.
Yeah, that's a great idea, right? Because if they've already committed to you on that site, that shouldn't stop them from committing if the project doesn't go through on Kickstarter.
Exactly.
So what else are you guys working on out there?
This is Melinda. I have a couple children, and my youngest son is in a daycare, and the daycare does an annual party, and they're going to be doing it, I think, towards the end of October. And she's going to be doing some fundraising between now and then for our event. And on the day of the event, she's going to try and have a few different things where people can make donations, or I still have items coming in of donations from local places, hair cutting and stuff like that, that we're going to try and do raffle off again. So they're trying to help out. And then Ethan's teacher has asked us if one of the groups, it's called Baker Buddies, it's a smaller group of children that try and do more together to learn skill building concepts and stuff. And last year, all year long, they raised money for the Ted Lindsay Autism Foundation, and this year they asked if Ethan would be okay with them raising the money for his climb. So I'm not sure what they're planning on doing, but I know they're starting to plan a couple fundraisers and are going to be donating the money towards our climb. And then my work, I had contacted them a while back and never heard back from them. So I contacted them recently, and they told me they actually decided a long time ago that for the year 2014, so even after our climb too, they're going to be donating throughout the entire year. They do different fundraisers, luncheons, or events that people donate money to, and they do it at least once a month. And they've chosen our climb as the fundraiser that they're going to be donating to for the year of 2014.
That's awesome. That is so cool. That's awesome. So Glenn, who is my mortgage guy for my house, who's going to be on our climb team, he was the first guy who ever donated to our project. And this was before he decided he was going to actually go with us. So he works for a mortgage business, and it's really interesting what they do. Every year, at the end of the year, they give every single employee $1,000. But the kicker is they got to give $1,000 away to a fund for a nonprofit. So cool. So so he gave $1,000 to ClimbforEE to support me back then, right at the beginning. And again, they're doing it again this year. So it's interesting. I don't know if you guys know of businesses that maybe do that. That's the first time I had actually ever heard of it. But if you can find a business like that, it could be a gold mine. My company that I work for is called Simple Signal. They're already have committed, the CEO's committed to sponsor us, and I don't know how much yet, but I'm guessing it's going to be a couple grand. So that would be cool. But just push it, guys. You gotta put the pedal to the metal, and like what Yogi Bear used to say, you got to be smarter than the average bear. Was that him? I think it was. And just don't under anticipate how quickly this time's going to go. I honestly, I started looking at it today. I'm like, oh my God, I still have halfway to go, and I'm like, I started freaking out. So just be diligent about it. So that's enough on fundraising. Unless you guys have any other questions or comments or anything. All right, let's move on. I spoke to a guy when I was in Vegas, and when I had to cancel the call last time. a fellow called me who's he's a geneticist at Johns Hopkins University back east. Evidently, I think he knows, I think he may have came to us through, I think it was Neil, if I remember right. And this guy actually knows a lot about EE and a lot of other genetic sort of similar disorders. And he's going to go. He's already committed to go with the team. So he'll be a new climber on the team. He'll be a doctor. The only thing that I'm waiting on is Kevin and Kristen have to interview him to make sure he's going to fit in. Okay. So he'll be on the team, providing they give their blessing after they talk to him. So that's cool. That's good. That's one of the things I wanted to have on the team. We're also working on getting an emergency medic, a wilderness certified medic on the team, which I think will be good, just to have somebody in case, you turn an ankle, God forbid something worse happens. You have somebody up there who knows what the heck they're doing. But other than that, things are moving ahead. I mean, money's coming in, not as fast as we hope for some of us, but I look at this and you got Travis, you're at 12% already, and Bill, you're at almost 20, you're at 18%, Neil's at 20%. So, it's good, and Helen's at 30%. So, we're definitely heading in the right direction. Just keep it up, pick up the pace, pull out all stops, and we're all gonna do it. So, there you go. So Jill just said, I'm going to have 3 semesters of nursing school under my belt by the climb, so I'll have some first aid skills. Awesome. That's good. That's awesome. So any questions, guys, comments, concerns, anything that needs to be brought up now before we sort of close out the call? You guys are way too easy tonight. At least make something up. All right. So we're going to, at this time, I guess since there's no questions, we'll go ahead and close September's call. We'll talk to you guys again in October. Again, questions, comments, concerns, you can email me at info@org, or you can just give me a buzz, 602-820-6788. Let's do it, guys. And have a good end of the month, and we'll talk soon. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Bye.